Welcome to Golden Bachelor. If you love celebrity news and real entertainment updates, you're in the right place. Love isn't always picture perfect. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's unexpected. And sometimes it happens when you least expect it, under studio lights, with cameras rolling and millions watching. That's exactly what's happening in the world of The Golden Bachelor right now, because Season 2's leading man, Mel Owens, has gone from being one of the most controversial bachelors in history to becoming the heart of one of the most talked about love stories on television. And now, if rumors are true, Mel and his winner, the fiery, charming, unforgettable Peg Munson, might be heading down the aisle for a televised wedding. It's the story nobody saw coming, and it's the love story everyone's talking about. Let's rewind for a second. When ABC first announced Mel Owens as the new Golden Bachelor, fans were skeptical, to say the least. Here was a former NFL linebacker, tough, outspoken, confident, stepping into a role that's supposed to be about vulnerability, compassion, and emotional openness. But from the moment he was revealed, Mel had opinions, strong ones. On one of his first interviews, he dropped a list of requirements that immediately set off Bachelor Nation. He said, and I quote, that he only wanted to date women between 45 and 60 years old. Now that might sound fine to most, but remember, the whole charm of The Golden Bachelor is celebrating love later in life. His comment made it sound like he was narrowing down the pool before even stepping into the mansion. And then came the second blow. He said his ideal partner had to be fit, athletic, and energetic enough to match his lifestyle. The internet went wild. Fans accused him of being superficial, ageist, even arrogant. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, all flooded with criticism. People said, he's not looking for love, he's looking for a fitness partner. For a minute, it looked like The Golden Bachelor was in trouble. Viewers even threatened to boycott the season. Producers, too, started to worry. According to sources, they called Mel difficult early on. He was opinionated, meticulous, and not easy to please. It was like watching a coach on draft day instead of a man looking for love. But oh, how things changed. Because behind the scenes, something began to happen that no one expected. Mel Owens, the tough guy, the ex-football player with a wall around his heart, started to soften. Slowly, quietly, episode by episode, he began to show who he really was underneath that tough exterior. And that's when fans started to come around. Viewers began noticing that Mel wasn't being arrogant, he was being cautious. After all, this was a man who had already lived a full life. He wasn't just chasing chemistry, he was chasing something real. And soon enough, two incredible women captured his attention. Cindy Colors, elegant, kind, and thoughtful, a woman whose calm energy balanced Mel's intensity. And then there was Peg Munson, a former firefighter from Las Vegas with the biggest smile, the boldest laugh, and a heart that could light up a room. Peg was different. She wasn't intimidated by Mel's confidence. She challenged him, teased him, pushed him to open up in ways he hadn't before. From their first one-on-one date, viewers could feel it. The chemistry, the spark, the way Peg looked at Mel like she saw right through him, and maybe she did. During one emotional evening, Mel confessed that he'd been afraid to fall in love again. He said he'd lost himself after retirement, that the fame, the discipline, the structure, all of it faded when football ended. He admitted he didn't know how to let someone in again. And Peg? She looked him in the eye and said, "Love isn't something you control. You just have to let it happen." That moment hit fans hard. You could almost see Mel's guard crumble on camera. The man who once talked about requirements was now talking about feelings. Week after week, their bond grew. Peg's warmth brought out Mel's humor. Her stories about firefighting, her resilience, her empathy, it all reminded him that strength doesn't just come from muscles, but from the heart. By the time the final rose ceremony came around, fans were divided between Cindy and Peg, but deep down, everyone knew who had Mel's heart. Peg wasn't just his finalist, she was his match. And according to Reality Steve and multiple insiders, Peg Munson does get the final rose. In one of the most emotional Golden Bachelor finales yet, Mel gets down on one knee and proposes. Now, let's pause right there, because this wasn't an easy decision. Apparently, producers were panicking all season long. They were terrified Mel wouldn't propose to anyone. He's independent, stubborn, and was even quoted saying he wouldn't get engaged just for television. But in the end, he proved everyone wrong. When he finally popped the question, it wasn't just dramatic, it was real. There were tears, there was laughter, there was that unmistakable chemistry that had carried them through the entire season. And when Peg said yes, well, let's just say the internet melted. But what comes next might be even bigger. According to insiders, ABC is now planning another golden wedding. Yes, that's right. They want Mel and Peg to tie the knot on television. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because the Golden Bachelor already tried this once before with Jerry Turner and Teresa Nist. Their televised wedding was supposed to be the fairy tale ending, and it was, for a little while. But just 4 months later, the marriage fell apart. Fans were crushed. Jerry released a tell-all memoir airing personal details about their short-lived marriage. Teresa clapped back, revealing that she didn't want to move away from her home in New Jersey. Suddenly, the fairy tale couple was locked in a public feud. It was heartbreaking, and it cast a shadow over the franchise. So when ABC began planning Mel and Peg's wedding, the producers decided to do things differently. This time, they want it to be real. No forced drama, no over-the-top glitz. Just two people in love, celebrating their story their way. One insider told The Sun the network learned a lot from Jerry's wedding. They're going to give Mel and Peg full creative control. It's going to be their day. And honestly, that's exactly what the fans want too. Mel isn't the type of man who wants a fairy tale scripted for him. He wants authenticity. Peg's the same way. She's funny, spontaneous, and real. Together, they make a perfect team. So what might this wedding look like? Rumor has it that Mel and Peg are leaning towards something elegant but personal. Maybe outdoors at sunset with their families and close friends. Sources even say Mel wants to write his own vows and that he's been working on them for weeks. If you followed the season, you know he's not the best at expressing emotions on the spot. So the idea of him writing his vows, word for word, straight from the heart, that's going to make fans melt.
Apparently, she's planning to add a few surprises of her own. Insiders say she wants to inject a little humor into the ceremony, something that reflects their playful side. Because if you've watched them together, you know that's what makes them special. They're not just romantic, they're fun. They laugh, they joke, they tease. They're proof that love doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. Now, while everyone's talking about the wedding, the couple themselves seem to be taking it slow, at least publicly. Since filming wrapped, Mel and Peg have been spotted together a few times. They've been seen hiking, attending charity events, and even volunteering with retired firefighters and athletes. Sources close to them say they're inseparable. They talk constantly, make time for each other despite busy schedules, and are both focused on keeping their relationship grounded. And fans are loving it. Because in a world where bachelor relationships often crash and burn, Mel and Peg's story feels refreshingly real. They're not posting flashy photos or selling couples merch. They're living their lives, privately, quietly, and together. Which brings us back to the wedding. If ABC does go forward with the televised ceremony, it could be a huge moment for the Golden Bachelor franchise, a chance at redemption. After the disappointment of Jerry and Teresa's breakup, fans want to believe in the magic again. And who better to restore that hope than Mel and Peg, the couple who went from controversy to chemistry to commitment?
Their love story is the definition of a second chance. Mel started his journey being criticized as too harsh, but through the season, he became the symbol of vulnerability. He learned that strength isn't about control, it's about letting someone in. And Peg was the one who taught him that. Their story proves something we all need to remember, that love isn't about age or image or perfection. It's about connection, about finding someone who gets you, flaws and all. And maybe that's why Bachelor Nation has fallen in love with them, because they remind everyone watching that no matter what stage of life you're in, it's never too late to find your person. Now imagine the big day. Peg walking down the aisle, that radiant smile lighting up the venue, Mel standing there probably trying not to cry but failing miserably, the guests smiling, the air thick with emotion, and somewhere in the background, maybe even a few of Mel's old teammates holding back tears. It's going to be the kind of wedding that makes you believe in love all over again. And maybe, just maybe, it'll remind viewers that the Golden Bachelor experiment was never about spectacle, it was about heart. Mel Owens might have entered this journey with strict rules, but he's leaving it with an open heart. And Peg Munson, she's the reason why. She brought the spark back into his life. She reminded him that love can be wild and unpredictable, but worth every risk. And if ABC truly lets them design their own ceremony, this wedding won't just be for television, it'll be a celebration of everything the Golden Bachelor was meant to be. Fans are already buzzing with ideas. Will the couple invite other Bachelor alumni? Will the ceremony be small and intimate, or a televised event with millions watching? Will Mel cry? Let's be honest, probably yes. Whatever happens, one thing's clear. This time, it feels different. This time, it feels real. Because Mel and Peg aren't acting. They're not chasing fame or attention. They're chasing something that's been missing from the franchise for years: authenticity. Their love story isn't about youth or glamour. It's about rediscovering joy, embracing vulnerability, and finding someone who makes you laugh when life gets hard. And honestly, that's the kind of story Bachelor Nation needs right now. So whether they decide to share their vows under the bright lights of ABC cameras or in a quiet ceremony with just family and friends, their love has already captured millions of hearts. Because Mel Owens and Peg Munson aren't just another Bachelor couple. They're proof that second chances are real, that it's never too late to fall in love again. And maybe, just maybe, their story will help the world remember why people fell in love with The Bachelor in the first place. After all, it's not about roses, ratings, or reality TV drama. It's about that look, that undeniable spark between two people who, despite everything, found each other when they least expected it. Mel and Peg's love story isn't perfect, and that's exactly what makes it beautiful. Because love, especially at this stage in life, isn't about fairy tales. It's about real moments, laughter, compromise, forgiveness, and the courage to start over. And when you look at Mel and Peg, you see two people who have lived, who have learned, and who are now ready to live the rest of their story together. So here's to them. To Mel Owens, the man who came in strong and left even stronger because he learned to open his heart. And to Peg Munson, the woman who showed the world that love after 50 can be just as wild, passionate, and fun as ever. Whether or not their wedding becomes the next big televised event, one thing's certain: their story has already made history. Because sometimes love doesn't just find you when you're young. It finds you when you've grown wise enough to understand what it truly means. And that, dear Bachelor Nation, is what makes this love story so beautifully golden. Thanks for watching Golden Bachelor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next big story.